What is up, home workout and bodyweight exercise fans? In today's video, Home Eat Muscle, I want to talk about how the pistol squat can cause back and knee issues. Now, if some of you are thinking, how come I've changed my mind on the pistol squat, since I've used it a lot in the past? Well, let's rewind a little bit and go back in the day when I was getting on my bodyweight exercise journey. I did some research out there and looked for what is the best bodyweight exercise for the lower body, just as most of you out there have done as well, probably. So I found that most experts out there, most people that have written books on bodyweight exercise, praise the pistol squat, as the best bodyweight exercise for your legs, and it seemed logical at that point that that was the exercise to do. Now, you could say that I basically fell a victim of the bandwagon effect, as probably a lot of you as well. And what is the bandwagon effect? Well, the bandwagon effect is when a lot of people around you have the same belief, do something in the same way, and you tend to get on that wagon and go along with it. You don't use your critical thinking, you don't judge that idea or way of doing something, and you just do it because most people are doing it as well. So what is the problem suddenly with the pistol squat? Well, imagine that I had a barbell on my back, and imagine I was doing heavy squats. If I was using a technique like this, I'm sure that most of you would know that I'm doing something in a bad way. Even if you're not a strength coach or expert, you know that this is not good technique. So while in barbell squats this is something we all know that is bad for you, in pistol squats most people do round their backs as well, but nobody seems to be complaining about that a lot. Now, the common argument against back rounding in pistol squats is that there's no actual loading, so you don't have anything basically heavy on your back, and since it's a bodyweight exercise, it's sort of natural. Well, that's something that I also used as an excuse at some point, because I've done a lot of heavy squats when I was young, and I know that it's not good technique, so I used that excuse as well. I had this double standard in my brain as well, and at some point a friend of mine and a movement specialist, George Yorgas, came in contact with me, and he started talking about why he thought the pistol squat was wrong, and I realized that he made a valid point. So we did some research together, and we found that even when compression forces on your spine are not big, even when they're medium to small, like your bodyweight exercise for example, when these forces are applied long terms, they do create issues. And people that are experts in their fields of spine and back issues, people like Stuart McGill, have shown this. So it is a clear point for me, and since a lot of people seem to also validate this, that pistol squats aggravate their spine issues, pistol squats have caused them back pain, I think this is something we should all pay attention to. Now, couldn't you do the pistol squat with a straight back? Well, that would require insane ankle mobility for starters, and even if we could develop that ankle mobility, which I don't think most of the general population could, you would still not have perfect technique. So since this is not something practical for most of the strength training population out there, I think that it's something to think about. Now, the second point that seems to be problematic in the pistols are knee issues. Now, a lot of people seem to have knee issues from the pistol squat, and I know that's the case with heavy squats as well. It doesn't mean that heavy squats are bad, but you have to keep in mind that in order to get into a deep pistol squat and to maintain your balance, excessive misalignments have to take place in your body. For example, excessive pronation in your ankle, which is basically you're ankle rolling inwards is something you need. Valgus collapse, which is basically your knees caving inwards, and hip medial rotation, you know, your hip turning inwards and adducting at the same time, are some stuff that happen to your body in order to keep you in line there. So all of these also cause torsion on your spine. So, you know, all these twisting forces basically carry over to your spine and, you know, make this even worse. Now, this is a topic I haven't taken lightly into. You know, I did a lot of research. I even made a survey with my newsletter subscribers. You know, a lot of you, thank you first of all for replying to that. Send me your feedback back, and you know, I saw that most people do have all these issues. A lot of people have been commenting on my YouTube, you know, saying that they have been having issues. I've got emails over the last year, Facebook messages. So all these people basically, you know, validated these issues for me. I understand that a lot of you will also react emotional to this. You know, a lot of you will probably hit the dislike button on this video, and I'm okay with that. I also got a lot of controversial feedback on Reddit, for example, where I posted my video on the Bodyweight Society to, you know, get some feedback from people there as well. So, you know, of course, I also got negative feedback on this, and you have to keep in mind that if you have been doing pistol squats for a long time and you haven't gotten any issues, it doesn't mean that that's not that the exercise can't cause them to you either in the future or, you know, at some point. Because I know a lot of people, for example, that keep on smoking until their 90s, you know, so these people live above average, but that doesn't mean that smoking isn't bad for you. Now, for those of you who also feel a little bit of, you know, internal friction because suddenly, you know, this guy out of nowhere starts to criticize basically your gurus, I'm guessing, you know, people that you've been following for a while and that have been praising the pistol squats, keep in mind that even people like Einstein made mistakes, you know, in their time, said things that were wrong. It doesn't mean that these people are bad professionals, are bad at what they do. It just means that the field keeps evolving, you know, and that's a good thing. We have to work to evolve the Bodyweight Society. We have to work on, you know, making all the exercises better, safer, and more effective. So the bad thing would be for people to keep on sticking on this opinion that the pistol squat is the best exercise for your lower body. You know, out of stubbornness, out of ego, out being afraid of staining their image. Personally, in Homemade Muscle, I believe that constantly reevaluating, readjusting, and refining your work through based on the latest scientific progress, based on constant personal experimentation, should be a sign of a good professional. And it also should be a sign of intellectual honesty you should expect from people you are taking advice from out there. So it's an honesty that I will always give to people on this project, and I'll be personally removing the pistol squat from my exercise routines. I'll be replacing it with weighted lunges for now. I've been doing them for a while and I really like them. I've also written an article about them. You can click on it here above. Thank you for all of you who helped me, you know, work on this article. You can check the article about the pistol squats. It's a lot more detailed, a little bit more scientific, if you may, and you know, you can read more in detail about that. Maybe this video was a little bit overwhelming, but that was all. Thanks a lot for watching, and you know, once in a while, don't be afraid to reject dogma. Once in a while, it's good to be a rebel.